protecting homes and businesses from the whims of nature, you need more than just quality materials. You require Riverland Roofing. Licensed, insured, and certified, Riverland Roofing offers not only the assurance of excellence, but a tailored approach to your unique structural needs and budget. To learn more about what Riverland Roofing can do for you and the community, call them at 662-644-4297 or visit riverlandroofing.com.
You're listening to Talk of Champions, an Ole Miss Spirit podcast with Ben Garrett.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
Hello again, friends, and welcome inside, at least for me, Ben Garrett of the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com, an affiliate of On3. Sign up today for $1. The Riverland Roofing New Albany branch, and alongside me here, Ole Miss great, Ole Miss legend, New Albany legend. He's not in the New Albany branch of the Riverland Roofing Studios, but he's always got that New Albany spirit about him. It's Eli Anding, former Ole Miss fullback, number 7 himself in your programs, folks. Hey, buddy.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. It's Georgia week. Ole Miss in Georgia this weekend. Ole Miss is undefeated, one of 2 undefeated teams left in the SEC. Georgia is 5-1, 3-1, playing between the hedges, and I'm going to give him a shout. My guy, Park Smith, fellow New Albanian, hollers out at me and says, Ben, how did you not remember, because earlier this week I recorded a podcast and we were talking about Ole Miss, Georgia, and he said, how do you not remember the 1996 last win for Ole Miss between the hedges? To which I said, I deserve to be shamed for this. I do. And then he went, and how did you not know to call Eli Anding? So here he is, right here and now, Georgia week.
It sounds bad the way you just rolled that out, but I'd like to know, and I should know this, but how many times had the Rebels played between the hedges in the last 29, 30 years? That's probably, I'm not putting you on the spot, but I mean, when people say, wow, y'all haven't beat them over there in damn near 30 years. I'm like, well, we didn't play them for a long time over there in the East. I'm trying to give us a little love there.
Yeah, you're trying to cover for your boy, your fellow New Albany guy. But the fact of the matter is, I deserve to be, I need like 7 lashes for not getting this right,
Who always thinks of you of all things Ole Miss, so I'm a little disappointed, but you're forgiven.
Yep. Well, thank you. That's really all I wanted. That's all I needed. I need to be told by the GOAT himself, because before we sat down and start recording, I told Eli, I mean, it's like, I remember the old days. Meet the Rebels on the field of All Hemingway Stadium before they bowled the thing in. And me and my 2 brothers and my dad, we were showing up there. You know, we're one of the very first ones in line. Everybody takes off to go talk to the peoples, and everybody scattered about. The very first people Eli Anding saw was your friendly neighborhood Ginger Streck and his brothers.
It was easy to get to me. I was a slow, fat fullback that they were like, who's that guy over there? But y'all were sweethearts. I remember those days. Those were some good times. Rebels. I remember.
Well, see, here's the thing. This is what I've said this, and I maintained it on this podcast. I said it recently, Eli. The best New Albany the best high school football player I ever saw was Eli Anding. He was the best. He was the best quarterback. He was that dude, and like that. So, I mean, you go from quarterback to defense under Tubbs to start, then to fullback, man. I mean, you're the do-it-all. You're Mr. New Albany, right? So it's only right then that you come on Talk of Champions here today to talk about Ole Miss Georgia week and reminisce about 1996. But do you feel old that like you're in Nashville now and you still got one guy talking about your New Albany days?
Listen, I'm going to if this is live, I've missed out on it. But if this is going to be recorded and shown later, I'm going to make sure my kids are sitting in at least for this part, because they're like, what? You old man, you actually used to be able to run around and throw it back in the day. We don't even talk about the quarterback days anymore. But yeah, that was a long time ago. Some good times in New Albany, man. We had a good run there.
I'm saying Eli Anding. I was raised on Eli Anding, Ross Barkley, and later on my guy Jay Kirkland went and signed with Ole Miss. I mean, it's New Albany used to produce some dudes. This year, actually, it produced Emmanuel Tucker, 4-star offensive lineman, who's committed to Ole Miss.
My old college roommate and one of my best friends, Walker Jones, called me the other day. He goes, hey, man, we're getting a stud out of New Albany. I was like, let's go. I hear he's an animal. I'm anxious to see him.
Well, I was sitting with John Garrison was there on the sideline for Ole Miss North. Oh, no, not Ole Miss. New Albany North Pontotoc. New Albany lost the game, played terrible. But, I asked him about Emmanuel specifically, and he's like, man, love his feet, love what he is. And then Emmanuel comes up and says, yeah, they want me to start in year 2. And I'm like, let's go. Finally, we got us another one from New Albany. going big time. You know what I mean? But it all started for me back when I was a kid, when I was a young buck with Eli Anding. He's sitting with me right now for Georgia Week. And again, Ole Miss, Georgia. Ole Miss is undefeated. I know you've been paying attention to the Rebels. Before we jump into 1996, the last win for Ole Miss between the hedges. What do you think about Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss in 2025-26 so far?
I don't know how you're not excited. I mean, he's a household name in college football. You know, ESPN loves him. All the talk shows love him. He's a walking meme, and he's a hoot. And I know that rubs some people the wrong way, but Lane is just being Lane. So the good thing about it, though, man, when you can like him, you can dislike him, whatever, you want him coaching your football team on Saturdays. There ain't no doubt about that. So I respect the hell out of what he's done over there, and it's been a fun ride. It's a lot of fun. I can speak for a lot of 50, 51-year-old Rebels, and it's fun, man. This is rare air that Ole Miss is in right now.
Well, I mean, because back in 1996, it was a completely different time when y'all went and won between the hedges. The last time Ole Miss won between the hedges, and Eli's right. It's not like Ole Miss has played Georgia every year. It's we got to be a little bit more fair to the context of it. But still, the last win for Ole Miss in Athens between the hedges was 1996, and then y'all were just trying to get bowl eligible, right? I mean, this is coming off the Billy Dog years where the NCAA stuff was a mess, and then Tubbs comes in and writes things, and this was a win for y'all that while Georgia wasn't particularly good necessarily for y'all, it was huge because it got y'all one step closer to bowl eligibility.
The word adversity gets thrown around too much in football for sure. It's like my wife likes to make fun of all the guys are saying. We're in a hostile environment. It's always hostile. Then they scan out on Tuesday night football, and there's 5,500 people there. But
right.
Adversity, our team knew what adversity was. I mean, when I got there under Billy Brewer, right after the first year probation, I think second worst in NCAA history. I mean, you think about it. I think it was 24 scholarships. Wrap your head around that. 24 scholarships, 2-year bowl ban, 1-year TV ban. I'm sure there were some other things I'm leaving out, but you talking about tough times. It was really tough times. So that was kind of right after my freshman year, we got hit in the mouth with that. Joe Lee Dunn interim for a year, and then Tommy Tuberville comes in, and it was a bunch of dudes. We had some dogs, and I'm sure we'll get into that. We absolutely had some dogs, but it was a small group of dogs. It was a small kennel, and what we were able to accomplish there late in our senior year, we're all super proud of it, and feel like we gave Ole Miss a good showing at least. So it was an awesome time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, like the things that y'all got punished for back then, I mean, they don't even exist anymore. I mean, even what Ole Miss got punished for and hit for in 2016, those things don't exist anymore, right? And
I will tell you this. I Googled it the other day because it's been so long just to see, and again, SMU got the death penalty. At the time, I think it was the second worst penalty in NCAA history. They wanted an SEC team, obviously. Everybody knows going across straight lines. I think a couple of guys took a recruit to I don't know, a Wendy's. Anyway, they weren't supposed to be.
Oh, God. The horror that they wouldn't got them some Frosties, God forbid.
Whatever it was, and then I saw a guy took steak dinner or something. It was just something like right now, I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day, he goes, I mean, that wouldn't be a good NIL deal for like a backup kicker. You know what I mean? Like what we got 3 years probation for, we couldn't get one 3-star guy for right now. So the times have definitely changed.
They've definitely changed. And like I said, that win was such an important one for Ole Miss, for bowl eligibility and for other things, but also coming off all the tough stuff, and Tubbs was establishing himself as one of the best Ole Miss coaches to ever come through here, and just the revelatory nature of how he was able to step in and turn things around and make Ole Miss into a true contender. And now he's a senator.
Senator, put some respect on that name, like he tells us all the time.
Yeah, like back in 1996, if I'd have told young Eli Anding, young buck, hey, listen, man, that guy right there, your head coach, is going to be a U.S. senator in 2025, you would have said?
Believe it or not, I would have believed it. And I know I was trying to
salesman
make that a little better. He was a salesman like nobody I've ever seen. I tell you what, and we've still got a good relationship with Coach Tuberville. What he's been able to accomplish is awesome from what he did, coming through Miami ranks and then wherever else he was right before he came to Ole Miss, but coming to Ole Miss in hard times and then had the opportunity to go to Auburn. And, I know a lot of people were butthurt over that, but I understand somebody wanting to better themselves. It was a great opportunity for he and his family to make some real dough, and had a great run over there. Everybody remembers him running out and showing the thumb at Alabama. I mean, Alabama fans can thank Tommy Tuberville for getting the greatest of all times into Tuscaloosa because, he had a good run over there. And the fact he's a senator now, we like to joke with him. We don't talk to him that much, but when we do, it's like, man, you put us through so much hell. Well, I'm going to drive through Alabama. I'm going to go 100 miles an hour. If they try to pull me over, it's like, I'm with Senator Tuberville.
Yeah, the least you can do is get me out of my 100-mile-an-hour ticket. That's all. The least you can do, you son of a gun, for those 2-a-days or whatever punishment you put us through, right?
You mentioned him. One thing I really respect about Coach Tuberville was because he was hard to play for because he was one, at least as far as we knew, I felt like he was early in the stages of a head coach that ran it like an NFL head coach does, to where it's like, okay, I'm going to be over this whole deal, but I'm going to hire dudes that get it done. And he really ran it as a CEO. And, in the business world now, I learned a lot from him like that because I think for so long, coaches try to do it all. And you still see coaches running offense and defense. But for the most part, you have a coach that's kind of like, okay, I'm going to get a great offensive coordinator, and I'm going to give him everything he needs to succeed. I'm going to get a great recruiting coordinator, and I'm going to give him everything he needs to succeed. So I watched him build the team around him. To be honest, we didn't have the greatest relationship with Coach Tuberville when he came in, and that was so different because, Coach Brewer was a coach's coach, and Joe Lee Dunn was a coach's coach. And, for Tub, for the first time, I had a great relationship with our head coach in high school. But Tub came in, and you could feel he was going to keep it separate. I mean, he was in the C-suite, and you didn't go in the C-suite. And so, but what I really respect is he brought in guys like, and you'll remember this, Noel Mazzoni and Joe Panunzio and Art Kaufman and Hugh Nall and Greg Knox. And I could go on and on, but those guys, they were in the trenches with us and they were family. And I've got great relationships with most all those guys to this day, 30 years later. And a lot of guys on our team that played for them felt the same way. So he understood that he couldn't be that and do that for everybody. And he surrounded himself with dudes that got it. And that was what I learned from Coach Tubb the most now in the business world.
Man, that's a great point, because one of the things that Lane Kiffin gets serious and well-earned plaudits for is being one of college football's better CEOs. I mean, this has never been, as college football, more big business than it is right now. And you got to have a guy that makes CEO decisions for the big business, the best CEO you can find. And Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss has proved to be the perfect pairing. But you're right, Tubbs came in and it was a change. It was something you hadn't seen before, but it also showed the progressive nature and the forward-thinking nature of Tommy Tuberville and where this all was going. And he was the man when y'all went to Georgia in 1996 and won, came back to win 31-27. And my man, Eli Anding, catches the game-winning touchdown pass. Wait a second, I forgot that you played defense to start. Like, you weren't always a fullback? They didn't immediately go quarterback to fullback for you?
I played 5 different positions at Ole Miss.
Okay.
I was signed as a quarterback and traveled my freshman year behind Lawrence Adams. And then in the spring, I went to safety. And then the next year, I went to H-back and U-back, which is another word for a fullback kind of in motion and run out flat to catch balls. And then my junior year, I played linebacker most of the time on goal line offense as a fullback and fullback my senior year.
See, and I remember number 7 at fullback, full senior year. But also, what kind of freak athlete can just, oh, yeah, we need a safety now, Eli. Sure, I can do that. I'll be the back quarterback this year. I'll be the fullback. I mean, you can't. Who goes from safety to fullback? You know what I mean?
When I signed at Ole Miss, I was a single-digit 7 quarterback. I was one that would wear like a pink jersey in practice. I never got hit. The only time I got hit in high school was when we run the option, and I'd get out of bounds a lot or slide or pitch it to the tailback. And then I go over there, and back up Lawrence Adams for the year. And I go into spring. I'm like, I think I got a shot here. Tear my knee up. Tubb and those guys come in, and they're like, hey, man, you can run and jump, and you're an athlete. And at that point, I had been on the bench, which I'd never been in my life, for a solid year. And, to put the work in to be able to just get to an SEC team, but then ride the bench for a year, I was like, I'll kick. I mean, I'm not a kicker. I don't like kickers really, but Tim Mott hit a big one in that game. I like Tim, but I'll do whatever you want me to do. So we were undermanned, so I think that has a lot to do with it. But the fact that 4 or 5 of us played multiple positions on that team from '96 in Georgia, and we can talk about them in a little bit. But it was just like, if you were an athlete, man, we didn't have many bodies, so we got to fill the role, and we did it.
Your 4th down 2-yard touchdown came from Stuart Patridge, gave Ole Miss the lead with 14:56 left in the game, proved to be the game winner. What do you remember about it?
We had just come out of halftime, and if you'll remember, we jumped on them early. We went up 14-0. Our defense, man, they played lights out. Brock Kreitz, Nate Wayne, Walker Jones. I was playing a little, Armiga Spearman, Al Rice, the younger guys, but mainly those 3 juniors that I mentioned first, they got after it. Brock Kreitz caused a fumble. Stewart hands it to John Avery. He pumps it in pretty early. And then Walker tips a ball. Nate Wayne catches it, runs it in. We're up 14-0 a few minutes in the game. It's like, oh, what in the world is going on right now? Because they got Robert Edwards and Hines Ward and Mike Bobo and Kirby Smart. Ever heard of him? Pretty good, strong safety. So they had some.
Turned out to be a pretty good coach too in college football.
Yeah,
crazy.
He's been over there a while. So we go in at halftime. They've scored a bunch of points. I think that we're down, I don't know, 3 or something like that at half, or 10. Anyway, they scored a bunch. Mike Bobo had an incredible first half. And Coach Tubb came in, you go, offense goes one side, defense goes the other, and then you do your deal and he brings you together. And he just kind of brought us in earlier. He was like, and this is kind of funny, and some people may not get this. It seems kind of mundane, but I thought back on it since and kind of laughed. He just walked in. Usually it's like, okay, we're gonna change up. We're gonna run a little more zone, or this counter's working, guys. We're gonna do this. A few things kind of like highlights of what we're gonna lean into for the second half. He's like, hey, listen, they're not gonna win this ball game because we're not gonna allow them to win it. And everybody was like, kind of looked around. I thought back on that. I'm like, listen, let's go. And now a lot of things goes into that, and I'm sure the coordinators want to say this is how we're going to do it. But he just was, matter of fact, they ain't going to win it because we're not going to allow them to win it. And, we came back out after halftime and then got in a 4th and short situation. We were 4 for 4 on 4th down in that ball game. I mean, it was crazy. But I was playing linebacker, went into motion. I looked at it the other day, man, I looked slow. But I went into motion. I was supposed to chip the defensive end. It was a wham play. We always go in motion. Ole Miss saw it a lot. John Avery would come off my hip, or Deuce McAllister the next year. He was really good at it. But I would chip the end or block the end, run right there. Well, they had seen that a bunch of times. So I just kind of blocked him and made him feel like he got me. And I slid out and in the flat, wide open. Stuart Patridge, dear friend, like a brother, threw it over there. I caught it right in front of the Ole Miss section. I mean, there were fraternity buddies and people just, diving on each other. It was crazy. It was a pretty awesome field. We had a lot more football to play, but it felt really good to go up.
And then in 1996, you go to the Egg Bowl. What was the final score of the Egg Bowl that year? Was that the 17 or 16?
That's the one that was in Oxford, and that's the one it rained 92 inches before the ball game. It had to be impossible to watch. There were a bunch of fumbles and stuff, and they ended up beating us over there. It wasn't great. Now the year after, 97, we got ours over there. That was the one with a big fight before the game. I got some scars from that one. And,
do you really? You still got scars on the hand?
I mean, that thing, they came out as total weak sauce. We were out there warming up. It was just the specialty guys, which are, running backs, quarterbacks, receivers, DBs. All our mouth breathers were still warming up in the dressing room. Linebackers, D-line, offensive line. And they got their whole team, and it went down in a hurry. I saw it happening. We were warming up as tailbacks, and I grabbed Eddie Grant. I said, it's about to go on. It's about to go down. Our receivers were stretching. Their defensive back started walking up to them, and their defensive back coach just walked away like they had talked about it, and here we go. So I think it was Grant Hurd and a few of those guys. It got going. It got going in a hurry. Anyway.
I remember about 1997 because, again, man, I was 11 years old. The Motor City Bowl was so fun. That was one of the most fun experiences of my postseason Ole Miss football life. Going to Detroit around Christmas.
Go to Detroit at Christmas.
Yep. Randy Moss, Toast.
Eddington.
Yeah. And then after Randy gets his on that first big play, He ended up having a good stat line. I'm not going to pretend like he all of a sudden got shut down, but he didn't do what Randy Moss typically did once the switch was made. I think Timmy Strickland went over there and decided he was going to take on the assignment. But going back to that game in Athens in 1996, you catching the win. I mean, I'm looking at the names, man. You catching the game-winning touchdown. Brock Kreitz, Stuart Patridge, John Avery. John had 88 yards in the second half, finished with 119 on 29 carries. These are some names that, like, still feel very familiar to me. And I'm just curious that, like, as you get later on into life, I mean, you're in your 50s now, right? I mean, these guys, your teammates, what is that relationship even like still?
Really good. And I look back, I don't know, a couple years ago and watched a few highlights of that game. Somebody sent me something that was out there. I think it had like 2 likes on YouTube. But I was looking at that and just seeing some of those dudes, man, we played with. We had the seniors that year are like Chris Mangum and Kyle Wicker and Lawrence Adams and Derek Jones. Those guys are studs. And, they've been through tough times too. And then our bunch, I'm going to leave names out. We had a great bond of brothers there. But like ones that come to mind, you mentioned Brock Kreitz, Walker Jones, Boyd Kitchen, Stuart Patridge, John Avery, Andre Roan, David Evans, Taboris Fisher. We had some dudes. And then the young guys came in, Ronnie and Grant Hurd, Armigas, Rufus, Todd Wade, Metcalf, Johnny Jones. So we had some dogs. We did, but not as many as a lot of people we played. But real great group. And I'm just, a few of those guys are still my best friends. And we as you get older with kids and careers and things like that, it's hard to get together with all of them. But I can tell you, of any of those guys I mentioned and many, many others, it's a big hug and lots of laughs and smiles and pats on the back when we get together, because we weren't great, but we were really proud of where we started at Ole Miss and where we left it.
Well, it's really interesting, too, because when you think about those games and those years and those things, like how important they were for building the foundation of what Ole Miss is now, right? I mean, to be able to come through one of the toughest stretches in Ole Miss history, and then for it to see that a very similar outcome in the 2010s, right, with Freeze and everything that went down with the Laramie stuff, and to see where it is now as a former player, that's got to fill you with a lot of pride for what Ole Miss has grown into and being a major part of what Ole Miss is now.
I'll tell you what, and we took it super serious because we totally understood it took, freshmen, sophomore, junior, and seniors. And that sounds odd, but when you graduate 30 or 40 seniors and then you don't have anything in the grocery cart ready to cook dinner with. So we kind of saw that early. So Walker and I were roommates, and, Tub and those guys would usually put us on some, really good recruits. We had Todd Wade. We got him locked in at the gym pretty quick. Corey Peterson, that was done, on the way to the bar. But, we understood, man, we need dudes. We need help. And then you look at teams now, and NIL and transfer portal, don't even get me going on all that. It is what it is. But I can't even imagine what the transfer portal's doing. But, just when we played, you have one year that kind of dips in recruiting. You feel that for years to come. So I get it. And we understood that. And that's, for us to be where we were at Ole Miss, to be able to acquire great talent that wanted to come be a part of something that wasn't where we wanted to be, but we were able to articulate and show them what we were doing to take it to better places. There's a lot of pride in that too. So we had some young guys come in there that turned out to be just absolute studs and played in the NFL for a long time. But, they had opportunities at a lot of other places that had a lot better records, facilities, you name it. But there were some dogs recruiting, and I think they saw it and felt it, wanted to be a part of it. That's pretty awesome.
Well, I want to say one thing. Tubbs, if you're watching in your senatorial office there in Washington, D.C., you should have left this man at quarterback. The best high school quarterback I've ever seen. And look, I cover recruiting, okay? I've been to Arch Manning's high school games when he's playing against janitors and lawyers, okay? Eli Anding was that dude. So in the year of our Lord, 2025, here in the Riverland Roofing Studio, 662-644-4297, Riverland Roofing for all your roofing needs. Let the world know from one Benjamin Garrett, at Spirit Ben on Twitter, at the Ole Miss Spirit on 3. Eli Anding was that dude. And number 7, and I associate the number 7 not with Michael Vick, not with John Elway. I associate it with one Eli Anding. Dude, thank you. What are you up to now? Tell the people what you're doing and what all you're involved in.
Yeah, was in the furniture business for about 22 years. And, I had a great run there. Just kind of felt like there was something else to do. And ran into a guy, a buddy of mine who's been super successful. He had just acquired a company called Medical House Calls, furniture and medical. You're like, hey, let's knock it out. So about 2 years ago, I jumped into Medical House Calls, president there. It's a smaller company. Got about 10,000 clients in the Nashville area, getting ready to move to Birmingham, Alabama. But, COVID taught us we can work from home. We can get our food sent to us at home. Why not get your medical provider in the comfort of your home? Let's go.
I love it. And I love the battle limb in the background. He showed me his old Ole Miss helmet that he's got up there on the third shelf. I'm just saying, the man is still repping these Ole Miss Rebels, and I'm so thankful that he joined me here on Talk of Champions just to shoot the shit on Georgia Week about a very memorable win that we don't need to forget, 1996 between the hedges, what it meant coming off of everything Ole Miss was coming off of, and to rally and what it just meant moving forward. What a memorable game, and what a memorable Ole Miss Rebel and New Albany Bulldog is Eli Anding. Thank you for doing this, my friend, and let's do it again sometime.
Ben, you're the best. I appreciate you. New Albany legend right there, Ben Garrett. Let's go. Proud of what you're doing, man. Go Rebels.
See, now I feel that now, like I feel like I've had a parade thrown for me like I'm a presidential candidate. I have my guy, dude, who I was like, that'd be like if you had your favorite quarterback come up to you and go, Eli Manning says to Ole Miss fan, hey man, you're doing all right. That's Eli Anding, folks. That's a beast.
Instead of Meet the Rebels, if there was a Meet the Podcaster or Ole Miss writer, I'd run straight to Ben Garrett. That's what I'm doing, baby.
Oh, my man. Eli, thank you, brother. We'll talk soon.
Good to see you. Appreciate you, buddy.